no, I'm here. I did, I testified at like 10 o'clock. I had some meetings on the in the Senate after that, and then I'll fly out at 10 p.m. and collapse.
I was gonna say, now will you actually sleep on the plane?
I may take something to make sure that I do, just because I gotta use those opportunities when I get them,
Right.
So
Now, did anybody
I'm convinced you don't sleep.
Did anybody get a chance to watch the hearing? Because I need to know if my man cracked under pressure.
Oh, me? No, I was
he silent? Did he hold it down?
Well,
I need to know if so, are some things I could discuss with him.
Well, are we being recorded already, Kristen?
No.
So this was a hearing that followed on all the Facebook revelations this week, and Senator Ron Johnson, Wisconsin, started asking my fellow panelists. He talked about this instance where people who get there's a group of people who got the vaccine who started feeling vibrations, and they were on Facebook as a support group. And then Facebook took them down. And this shows about censorship and the like. And this is one of these kind of crackpot theories where you're just sort of looking, how do you respond to a US senator when he asks that question? So I was just silent. I don't know whether it was here in the headlights as much as I didn't want to go there. But the questions to me were pretty much softballs. What was good is that most of the members were there. So Gary Peters, Rob Portman, Johnson, Mitt Romney was there, and then a few people joined by Zoom. So yeah, I'll send you the link so you can see it.
Please do.
It'll probably put you to sleep a little bit, but
maybe you should watch that on the plane before you.
I have a bill that I wrote a few weeks ago that was about forcing Facebook and Google to share data with researchers, which is something I've been working on for the last few years. And when all these revelations came out, it got a lot of attention. So that's why they called me to testify.
Gotcha. I'm convinced you don't sleep. Do you actually?
Well, I haven't been since you've known me. There have been times when I've been known to sleep.
Oh my gosh. When you're finished with us, you're going to be so happy.
Well, then I'm doing Puerto Rico. I'm going to do their redistricting. And that's, I go out there and I'm on the beach and then drawing lines in the sand, literally. So that's great.
Oh, that is much nicer. Although we have lovely shores in Maryland.
That's true.
Do you need like an assistant or?
Hey, if you want to come with me to Puerto Rico, sure. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
How's your Spanish?
I'll figure it out.
Muy poquito español.
All right, good.
Bueno.
I do not know who 1-8, who this guest is.
Can I ask who's calling in?
Yeah, who is calling in from 1-85681-6679-779?
What area code is it?
Oh. Hey, it's Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Oh, hey, Jonathan. That's right. You said you were going to be calling in.
Yeah, I mixed up with my wife's schedule, so I'm at field hockey with my daughter right now.
Okay.
It's a good metaphor for redistricting.
Yes.
But this is just us today, right?
It is. It is.
We still need to start recording this. We have a quorum, right?
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead. It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to hit record.
The public can view it.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they will not be able to participate, although they can, of course, give written testimony or comments.
Yes. So just to kind of start off the meeting, and I know we're still waiting for some other commissioners to join us, but good evening and welcome to the working session of the Maryland Citizens Redistricting Commission. This evening's meeting is a working session of the commission. It is meant for them to discuss district boundaries and get work done that they must get done as their work sessions come to a close. The final meeting for public testimony was last night. However, written testimony regarding the draft final maps that the commission has voted upon will still be accepted until Monday at 4 o'clock. And I will repeat that, we will repeat that at the end of the meeting, but I'm sorry, Monday at noon. Monday at noon
Right.
will be the deadline for written testimony from whatever maps are finalized tonight. We will allow the public to provide written testimony to redistricting.commission@maryland.gov up until noon on Monday. With that, I'm going to pass this along to our co-chair for this evening's meeting, Judge Alex Williams, who also serves as a co-chair of the Maryland Citizens Redistricting Commission. Judge Williams?
Thank you, Kristen, and I appreciate your comments and want to remind everyone that we had a great meeting on yesterday with the public participating, and we had some wonderful comments coming in. People testified, so it has led to outstanding issues that we need to resolve today. And we had new maps presented, we had testimony, we had requests. And so what we asked Professor Priscilla to do is to go back and look at the issues that we talked about with reference to Baltimore County. And then there are a few other issues, I believe, that the professor was looking at in terms of Carroll County and I think Prince George's. There were a couple of small items in Prince George's you were looking at. But essentially, tonight's business will be to hear from the professor to update us on the latest maps, and then we can react and move forward and give him any further instructions that he needs. So, Professor, you want to take us through what you did last night and not get any sleep?
Sure thing. And thank you very much. So based on the comments that we heard yesterday and previously, I redrew the districts in Baltimore County to reflect the concerns about splits or intrusions within from Baltimore County to Baltimore City in the southeast. That affected all of the districts in Baltimore County and Baltimore City. It also had some knock-on effects to all the districts in Hartford, but they're small. And it also affected 3 delegate districts in Howard County, but small changes that I'll show you. This, in addition to dealing with the southeastern Baltimore County issue, there was interest yesterday to deal with the split of the Jewish community in northwestern Baltimore County. And so to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, we decided, the commission decided yesterday to have the intrusion in Baltimore, from Baltimore City to Baltimore County, happen in the northwest in Pikesville. That proved extremely challenging, but I was able to do it, and I'll show you how I did that. In addition to those changes, and with the associated ripple effects, I made a very minor change in Prince George's County, as you mentioned, to Landover Hills, to make sure that the municipality was kept whole. That really had no effect. I just wanted to make sure, in the spirit of full disclosure, that everybody knew that I was doing that, so we could remove 1 more municipal split. And then there was a Montgomery County change that was urged, which had to move some of the boundary in southern Montgomery County toward basically east a bit. And so there are 3 districts that ended up being rotated, which I'll show you. I mean, what I may want to do first, let me just show you those easy ones, and then I'll jump into Baltimore County, so that people can see what we did there. All right, so let me turn off my video and turn on my share screen. Can you see my screen?
Professor,
Yes.
when you're going through it, would you just mind mentioning which district you're looking at? I have the maps you sent printed out in front of me, but not on, I don't have a screen. I'm not on video, obviously, so.
Yeah, no problem, we'll do. All right, let me, my screen is flickering. Let me try to unflicker it here. All right, so can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right, so let me just show you Montgomery County, and then shoot, I might need to plug this in because it's taking a while, but So the change that was made in Bethesda, or actually in southwestern Montgomery County, and as we're doing this, I'm gonna get my plug because I think that's what's causing my screen to flicker. Basically moves. What I'll do is I will put up. All right. I'll put up the districts that previously existed, and right now Maptitude is not being my friend. Well, basically what happened was moved the district line farther over here. I believe that was River. It was River Road, right? And so District 10 moves east toward Friendship Heights. District 12 moves up a little bit in this direction. And then District 11 moves down to the North Bethesda border, at least for what that census designated place is right there, okay? Again, not a major change as these things go. Right, 1 second, because my computer is not being kind to me yet. One of the problems also is the more maps you end up doing, the more memory ends up being used on this. So that then I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to reshare again. All right. Okay, I'm going to leave the Zoom and I'm going to come back. I apologize for this, but I think this is just a technical challenge here. Okay, I'm back. Let's see if the computer gods will be kinder to us this time. Are you able to see my screen? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we can see it. We can see
Okay.
it.
All right. So then moving to just Prince George's County, the area of change was here in Landover Hills, not a big change, but just to move down and get the necessary population.
Yeah, you just united Landover Hills.
Just united Landover Hills.
Okay. All right.
All right. Let me just go through Howard County a little bit so you can see, and I'll move this window out of the way. Be really careful to make sure that we don't lose anything in the process here. The red areas just so you can see the changes, the red areas are were the districts. And every time that I made changes, these small changes, it's usually in the direction of uniting communities. So they actually helped a little bit. So because of the changes in Baltimore County, in Western Baltimore County, there was certain sort of excess population that needed to be dealt with. And so you'll see District 27 moves up a little bit here. District 27C goes up, 27B goes a little bit west, and then 27A goes more substantially into Catonsville, which I think is actually a kind of good thing because it was a sort of strange barrier that was there before. Again, not something that if I didn't show it to you, you'd notice, but I wanted to highlight that. All right, now let's talk about, let me talk about, you can see there's so many differences now between the red boundaries and the black boundaries, and I'm going to take them off. But before I do that, let me just show you the differences in Hartford that happen as a result of this. Some of these changes look more dramatic than they are. So this is basically no people live here, but I, in order to deal with some of the changes in the associated districts here, I brought this district down, District 44B, to take in the Aberdeen Proving Ground and join it with Aberdeen, which seemed like a logical thing to do anyway. And so this previous red barrier now goes down to here. That's 44B, Jonathan, just so you know. We're talking about the most sort of easternmost district in Hartford. And then,
thank you.
And then the district next to it now goes more into, and 43A joins, basically keeps most of Edgewood together there. For population reasons, and I think also there's some good boundaries that I could draw here, shifts you can see there was the red districts, I'll just flicker them on and off. District 42B, which is around Bel Air, had a kind of very strange shape to it, which is now, I think, a little bit better. So that's what the district looks like here with the clear line and barrier between 44A and 42B and 42A. And so now there's a somewhat smaller intrusion, though, that here in Joppatown, which is 43C, which is the crossover district between Hartford and Baltimore, eastern Baltimore County. And you'll see it follows the sort of highways here, I think, pretty nicely. All right, so that was the easy, that's the easy thing to describe, even though that was sort of done because of the changes I'm going to describe now. So basically everything is redrawn in Baltimore County and Baltimore City because the shift from going to a plan that had one delegate district inside the center of Baltimore City and one that crossed over, and then to essentially pull those out has huge ripple effects for the entire plan. And so let me describe those and what the implications are. So as you can see, generally speaking, right, it's following some of the lines that you'd seen previously in Baltimore City with that draft Senate map that we looked at several weeks ago. These are, there's a lot of fancy footwork going on in the center of Baltimore City to make this possible while complying with the Voting Rights Act. And so these are all, it is still the case that 21, 22, 23, and 24 are all over 50% African-American districts. And interestingly enough, this district, 16B, is also right at around 50%. Actually, let me tell you exactly what it is. Right at around 50%. So as a single member delegate district, instead of before where we had, basically that was not the case. Now it is the case that there's another single member district that is majority African-American, or it's right around 50%. Let me make sure I can get the data up there. As you can see, the complexity of the plan. So it's 49.7% non-Hispanic Black adjusted population, but it's 51.5% any part Black. It's only 35% non-Hispanic white voting age population. All right, so let me talk about this going counterclockwise. and what the challenges are with each of these districts, and also what the remaining concerns are that I just didn't think I could solve. So one of the problems as you draw these districts in Dundalk and Edgemere is where the water is, because you've got to be careful. I had drawn one version of this where this District 28A went all the way up and basically here, and then District 20B looked like a backwards L shape, and I was very worried what people would think about that. And the reason I did that is because you can see that the water makes it quite challenging here to have contiguity. But I feel comfortable with this 20A. I mean, look, this is what the community wanted, is to make sure that these areas of Dundalk, Edgemere, and Essex were all together. And so this will be one giant Senate district here, pretty compact Southeast Baltimore County district. And you can see, this is, Jonathan, we're talking about 20A, 20B, and 20C. And this is connected by a bridge here, even if there's some challenges over there. And I tried to follow the sort of main arteries as best as I could. District 20B then is northern Dundalk and this little part of Essex here. I was contemplating again doing a much more L-shaped one, but I think that this probably gets at it because it allows for 20C to be a pretty compact district right here. This area, so that satisfies the southeastern Baltimore concerns. I remember there was some issue about splitting Rosedale, but the split of Rosedale is, I mean, depending on how you define the boundaries of Rosedale, and let me take off the Google map just for a second. Right, it does go right in the sort of highway right here. That seems to me inevitable. If you're going to preserve these, try to create a district in the southeast, it's going to have the effect of going, through the middle of Rosedale. This area proved to be quite challenging. The White Marsh area and Middle River, but these are all, everything I'm showing you is within 2% deviation as we have set forth. And so unlike the previous plan, now what's going to happen is that the Senate district, right, which was originally going almost up to the Baltimore line, is now going from southern 43A, B, and C, right, is going from southern Harford County into southeastern Baltimore County, and getting all of these communities. We heard last time that there was at least someone who wanted make sure that Kingsville is kept whole. It is kept whole in this map. There were some people who wanted it joined with Pleasant Hills, but that would require us to change where the intrusion happens, which is something we could do if we wanted it essentially to move 43A going upwards, but this keeps. I think early on in the process we decided that the Harford to Baltimore County transfer would happen at this juncture right there. Okay. So District 19 is a large multi-member district, Overley, Rossville, Kearney, Parkville, part of Towson. That district does a lot of work in the map. The community of Perry Hall is split, as is White Marsh and Rossville, right? These are not municipalities, but just so we're clear about what's happening here. I believe it's a roughly 50% minority district, but it's an aggregated minority district that's not required under the Voting Rights Act, and it's an attempt to be as compact as possible. You'll remember that we heard testimony about the potential split of, so Towson has to be split because it's so large. It has one giant delegate district right in the middle of it. But then there are other parts like Goucher College is moved above, and you can see where the borders go here. It turns out that Towson is a very hard, given the population and where the downtown is located, it's actually quite difficult to both preserve these areas in the southeast and Ainsley, Idlewild, and Lock Hill. We heard testimony from Lock Hill. That boundary is kept intact, but in order to shed population, the area in the northeast is split off and joined with 19. And then 16C, as I said, is a Towson district. And then let me just talk about the Jewish area here. So one of the things that we heard testimony about and got a submission on was the Eruv. That is the boundary of where Orthodox Jews sort of designate an area where they're allowed to carry things on the Sabbath. And so it turned out, I was trying to see whether you could draw a delegate district that was just the Eruv, and it turns out that that's about 1.2 districts. And so you're not gonna be able to do that. Instead, tried to get about as much of what seemed to be the core of the Jewish population in the Baltimore City area, Baltimore, going into Baltimore County in the Northwest. If you want to see, you can even like pull up the synagogues on here to see what we're talking about. I'll just zoom in just so you can see how I'm doing it. You can see on Google Maps, like here's Agudath Israel is here. Here's another one, Congregation Shomerei Emunah. Here's Ohel Yaakov Congregation, right? All of these areas, these synagogues and the like. There are certainly other areas that are a little bit outside. And there was like the Eruv goes down to this area where the hospitals are. But for population reasons, right, you can't put the entire thing in there. And I tried to have Northern Parkway be the border here on the west, and then going up in a kind of compact fashion in here. It does split the African American community here, and that is the trade-off. But as I mentioned, we're actually able to do something we couldn't do under the previous plan, which is that you do have a majority African American district here in northwestern Baltimore. So this district, just absolutely gave me fits just trying to do it correctly and make it so it seems kind of compact, which it I think really is. And it goes up to the Beltway here into Pikesville. Pikesville is of course split. Pikesville is too big for a district, but tries to get there is sort of the Eruv goes a little bit west here as well. But that again also implicates the voting rights issues here in the adjoining district, District 15. Let me talk about the rest of Baltimore City and then talk about the Western Baltimore County and how that plays out. So you can see the 16B is a pretty compact district in northwestern Baltimore, following the main arteries here. It's pretty racially diverse, as I said, roughly 50% African American. Everyone, the districts. We talked yesterday about how challenging it is to draw a district in Western Baltimore County that avoids packing. This one does, but you'll see how it does that, which is that District 21 basically goes from west to east and then down right almost to the harbor, right? All the way down. I think there are some things as I look at it that I might have changed. For example, I might swap out, make the park the border instead of what is that? Route 40.
Route 40.
Yeah. But this is very it's a challenge from a voting rights perspective. The districts in the southern, remember what we did, with the previous districts where you could draw a circle around here and you had another one that was going out over into the border with Dundalk. Sorry, that's just a printer in here. And then, so 24, the 24 and 23 are narrowly majority African-American, probably, 51% non-Hispanic African-American voting age population adjusted, but probably close to 53. I can tell you exactly, and I had it in what I circulated to you, but District 24, just so you can see, hopefully it's not crashing. Is again about 52% non-Hispanic Black. It is 53.7%. So from a voting rights perspective, I feel very comfortable with this. And same with District 23, which is pretty comparable. District 23 also unites the Latino population in Eastern Baltimore City. And that was, something that we talked with Gloria Aparicio Blackwell about a while ago as well. I understood yeah, go on.
So in West Baltimore, I understand everything, your justification for how you drew it.
Yeah.
And it may just have to be what it is, but this jumping across 40 like that does sort of kind of split that Sandtown, Harlem Park area.
Yeah.
But if that's the only, like coming down Route 40, but if that's the only real way you can, because I think you still got the Coppin area. Yeah, Coppin area is all contained in 21.
Well, so here's something that we could experiment with. I'll say, like I said, this is cut real fine given the voting rights issues.
Right.
But we could go up, and for instance, 24 could go up here, and this is a heavy African American area too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we could try to push this down a little bit. It's not going to go all the way, I'll tell you that, just because it's so heavily populated.
Right.
But but I think that is something worth considering, and we could even do it on the fly here if you want, just to see how the numbers work. I
mean, we can look at it, but if it's splitting hairs, then I don't want to. Because I think what you have is nice. I would just.
Yeah, no, and I that's something, and I'm also just looking at the shape of 21, which has this kind of bow tie character to it right here, and if we could figure that out, I think it would be good. Part of it is I'm really concerned about cutting 24 a little too thin, because it's it's taking in a lot of population down here. But I think that's the kind of thing that would be that like, for instance, if we move this boundary down to Lafayette Avenue, maybe that would be enough to compensate for this area here. And that I think that's worth considering. The one thing we can't do is change this boundary here. As this I worked on for a very long time, and that has to do with the composition of these districts. And so I can talk about that. But so you can see this is 24. It is contiguous, but pretty narrowly, right? In terms of going over to the harbor here, and also because of the population that it takes here, that is what keeps 23 majority African American as well. Now I understood that there was some email traffic about, and I couldn't quite figure out what the and Commissioners Thomas and Olson could weigh in. I'm not sure what the concern was or which area of Baltimore it was. Was it around here that you all were emailing about?
A little further down. Right there.
Oh, here, right here?
That area right there.
So is this, yeah, go on.
Well, no, Bel Air Edison is slightly southwest of where you were.
Yeah, right here.
We're 40 meets Bel Air Road. But I think that William's concerns are kind of more important to resolve, because if resolving his concerns might incidentally resolve the one I raised about Bel Air Edison.
No, those are totally separate issues. Totally separate.
Okay.
Because that'll be a swap between those two districts on the west. Here, I mean, unless, yeah, I don't know.
Well, no. But what, as I understand it, William has some concerns about 22 and 23, and addressing those concerns might resolve the Bel Air Edison issue by.
What are the concerns about William? What are your concerns about 22, 23?
Well, it was just, pretty much it was just a slight pushback to Walter's suggestion about using, what was it? About potentially disrupting, that community, because I know the Parkside to Northern Parkway to Urban Avenue, they're sort of kind of viewed as, a coalition, and I didn't want to disrupt that. So there was a way that we keep that intact while trying to make an edit to Walter's suggestion. Then that's what I would look to explore.
Maybe I should jump in at this point to discuss the fix that I suggested, because it's a pretty small one. And back between Herring Run Park and Clifton Park Golf Course, where the CVS is, the testimony that we've had, backed up by just looking up where the boundaries are of the neighborhood, suggests that the way to unify Bel Air Edison would be to take the area northwest of the current line. If you see Chesterfield Avenue on the north and Erdman Avenue on the south, and then going out to Crossland Avenue, which is apparently so that rectangle, Crossland to and Chesterfield and Bel Air Road and Erdman would be swapped into 23 in order to unite it with the area across Bel Air Road, which is the other half of Bel Air Edison. You notice Bel Air Edison School
right.
there. And then to make up that population, I spent quite a bit of time this morning, but it was actually easier than I feared. Go up to the northeastern end, where you've already got by the county boundary, Sedmont. You simply push that boundary south a few blocks to around, you see Hamilton Avenue. You don't have to push it all the way down there, but if you take most of the territory down to Hamilton Avenue, you actually unite Sedmont better. But and it is exactly the same 2,400 people. First I thought 2,200, but both changes are 2,400. So far as I can tell, they are both overwhelmingly African American in both of those parcels, and so it doesn't change the implications for either district as far as VRA.
Well, I wasn't worried about the VRA because of what you just said.
No, I know you weren't, but as far as the others might worry, since a couple of the districts are close to the boundary and just wanted to. But again, it's.
Should we do it? Should I maybe do it right now as we're talking? Or
I know the area that Walter's talking about, the Chesterfield, Hartford, Erdman. I understand wanting to keep Bel Air Edison whole, but I do know that area is, very close knit with, the Lake Montebello, the Morgan State area as well. So I don't know how much it will really change by uniting them versus quote unquote keeping them split.
I mean, you can see why I did what I did, which is that this is, a really good artery
right,
to divide, Eastern Baltimore, from an election administration perspective, as well as just like giving people a sign as to where they, where their districts are. But these community of interest concerns are, totally legitimate. I mean, I could easily put this. I mean, look, you could do it either way, although it's actually better to put it in with 23 from a voting rights perspective, because if this were to go up, it would actually be a little bit challenging. Now, it would then, this line is going to look a little weird, but
right.
I could work on that. You want to think about it, and after I'm done, and then after I'm done explaining the other districts, we can come back to it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so so you can see the rest of northern Baltimore here. And again, choosing the main arteries. 22 is around 60% African American, I think. So it's about, yeah, 62% adjusted non-Hispanic Black, which is going to be about 64, 65%. And so, as I was saying, you can see all the racial percentages here. 21, again, this is the adjusted data, and it's non-Hispanic Black. So you can see, I've got the non-Hispanic or just the Black numbers over there. Add another 3 points or so, but here you can see 21. 64%, 22, 61%, or 60, it's basically 65, 62, 51.5 for 23 and 24. Again, but really when it comes to Black voting age population, it's probably closer to 53, 54. This is, by the way, I think I've mentioned this before, but this is a result of the way that when they did the prisoner allocation, they used different racial categories than the way the census does. And if there's anyone from Maryland, who's in charge of that listening, do not do that 10 years from now. It makes things very complicated. All right, so let's talk about the rest of Baltimore County, and I'll talk about the one areas, I don't want to say concerns, but one of the things that I couldn't solve, but you can see what the implications are. So if you may remember, this district 15 went all the way to the county line. Instead of doing that now that we have this new district in here, District 15, which is just over 50% African American, again, a multi-member district, but keeps Owings Mills together. These other communities are also together, and gets the rest of Pikesville that is not in District 16A. It curves around and goes in this direction. As a result, you got to find room somewhere. So District 17 goes all the way up Western Baltimore, right? And that just seems, you could do something where you swap this population for that population, in which case District 15 would be much farther under 50% African American. As it is now, it's pretty, as these things go, pretty compact, respecting different community lines. So, and I'll tell you the exact percentage, right? So it's 51.43 non-Hispanic Black adjusted, so right about 54% African American. District 17 though is 58% or so. All right, so District 18, A, B, and C, I think that will bring us to the end here. I changed Northern Baltimore County quite a bit here because of all the changes that are going on in Southeast and over here. So 18, if you remember, let me just put up what the 18A and B looked like before. Right, we had basically a Northern Baltimore County district that got all of that area. And so had to make a decision about whether this district, because of the shifts, do you just keep basically, I could keep a Northern Baltimore district, but then this district would go all the way from Harford County, all the way almost to to Pikesville, going east-west. Instead of doing that, I thought it made sense. We put Cockeysville is united, it's united in 18B, and then the 18A district, it goes from the Northern Baltimore County all the way down into here. This was a real challenge. I know it sounds crazy, but the shape of this district is facilitated actually by the changes that we did in Howard County. That's the only way. Otherwise, this district, District 18, would end up going all the way down to Pikesville, which I thought would have been a problem. But so this District 18B, quite compact, and I think when you think of the Senate district, and you always have to think about the Senate districts here, 18A, B, and C form a good northern Baltimore County Senate district. And I think that pretty much covers it. Happy to answer any questions you might have about the lines and what the implications might be. I will say this, that it is an extreme, I've said this before, but it's even more true now because of all the considerations, that this is an extremely tight map. And by tight, I mean that the potential for ripple effects has been magnified by each one of these decisions. And so, like, the compact, these districts I think are quite compact, and certainly we suggest that under the standard measures. But they wouldn't be if we start moving things around. It took a lot of work to try to make them as compact as this. But in the end, we've got a map here that respects the area of southeastern Baltimore County that was the subject of the hearing yesterday. Creates a Jewish community of interest district in 16A, while keeping all of the districts within Baltimore City, majority African American, including this new delegate district at 16B. It keeps the Latino population in District 23 whole. It continues to respect the areas in Towson that we've heard a lot about. It tries as best it can to respect the communities in eastern and northern Baltimore County to the extent the population will allow it. It cleans up a little bit of some of the community boundaries in Harford County. It actually reunites some communities that were in Howard County a little bit split. They're now more cohesive and together. It puts northern Bethesda in basically one district with some different, losing a little bit, but it's with Rockville here and respects the changes that were suggested in southern Montgomery County. It unites Landover Hills, and it does all that by keeping all each Senate district under 2%, plus or minus 2% in the deviations, while keeping the assembly district, the delegate districts under 3%. So it and complies with the Voting Rights Act, and there's no change. If anything, it probably increases the number of majority African American districts as compared to the previous plan. So that it does all those things at once. So you can you get a sense of all the considerations as we go through the map.
All right, let me ask the first question and ask all the commissioners to think about any reaction to this new revised map. But in terms of the changes to Hartford County, does that I guess alter any potential opportunities for a minority district?
So let's just look at the percentages. 43, 43A and B. They're basically you'll see 43A is aggregate majority minority. So you can see the non-Hispanic white population is 48% basically. 43B is more, it's more close to 60% white. But it does with 43A, which is this area here. It tries to unite the minority populations. And I'll just show you a little bit. This is the African American population, but it is more diverse than that. So you can see, right, the attempt to keep all of these minority populations together. This right here is not a significant. I don't think it would be a significant. But you can see that that's also on the kind of community border right there. And so that 43A does, and all this is water here. So the shape that, sort of almost ignore everything that's happening south. The district is basically this area, and it tries to get the minority populations west of Aberdeen in with all of these other minority populations over here. And so I think it is an opportunity district. I think it's not going to be Like if you look at the African-American population, it's 37% non-Hispanic Black, which probably means closer to 40%. So, you know, a significant influence district, I think.
Okay. All right. Who else has any questions or observations you want to make about the revised map?
I do, Judge. Professor Priscilla, you had mentioned every now and then when you're talking about you didn't want to finalize the Senate maps until we were confident about where you were with the delegate maps. And you said they may require some refinements. Is that still the case? Because tonight I'm hearing it sounds like you're where you need to be with the Senate maps. Is that correct?
Well, right. I mean, if you're going to make even one small change to this map, I don't want to go through the process of creating a Senate map. And so I want to make sure we've got the delegate districts done. So yes, this plan as is can be made into a constitutional, legal, and good Senate map.
Okay.
But I don't want to, I didn't want to do that last night also because I wouldn't have been done by it by now. But also I think I've learned a lesson in this process with Maryland is that you've got to get the delegate districts done first before you even contemplate the Senate districts. So yeah, that it's not, I mean, when I go through and I want you, whatever resolution we end up with tonight, I want to at least have the flex. If I discover a problem, just in terms of the population variances, if for some reason I did a wrong calculation, and it shouldn't be because these delegate districts are actually even tighter than the ones that preceded them. But
when you say tighter, tell me what you mean by tighter.
Closer to 2% instead of So some of the delegate districts, right, can be closer to 3% if a delegate district that will be in the same Senate district is farther under, right? So that then, because then all three average together would be under 2%. These, because I was worried about that, I tried to keep these closer to 2%. There's still some, and I think 18 A, B, and C, like just to give you a illustration. So like here's an example, 18B is 2.43, 18A is 1.95, but 18C is 0.59. So that means together, they're gonna end up being under 2%, right? Total.
I see.
That it's the Senate district will be, because the average of these three numbers is under 2%.
Okay.
And then the question is, well, hey, why not just equalize them out? And the answer is because there are trade-offs, right? So that then if you look at, for example, like 18C is this very circular district, which is drawn according like Cockeysville line, like where would you do it? And so I didn't want to mess with that. But a lot of the other ones, and you know, once, not to give you guys more information than you want, but this line right here, the 16B line, and the fact that you only have one district going over into Baltimore County is actually a huge constraint on the plan, because if you're going to draw a district where the Jewish community is kept whole in northwestern Baltimore County, you have to, all the deviations of each one of these districts has to be factored into what is allowed by this district. And so I believe all of these are under 2%. I'll just show you the deviations, 21, yeah. You'll see 21, 22, 23, 24, all negative deviations, under 2% still, right? These are multi-member districts. But, you know, that's as a result of keeping 16, if we had 16B going, crossing the border also, then you wouldn't have to make all of those negative population districts. But keeping that in here, and then 16A, I think even 16B is probably, yeah, it's basically equal population, but that's a consequence of that.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anything else, Kate?
No, I'm good, Judge.
Okay, great. Who else has any reaction or questions you want to ask the professor?
Yeah, I thought about the Bel Air Edison adjustment, and it'll look a little weird, but I think I'm okay with it. I'm okay with making
Yeah.
Bel Air Edison whole into one legislative district instead of splitting it.
Okay. Should we do the change now, or should we, what does the commission want to do?
Let's
I'd
just
like to
change
see it now.
Yeah, let's see it now.
Okay. So I'm going to put up the border that Walter described before. And it's been a while since we've drawn lines together, so this will be fun. I'm going to show you just the precinct lines, and then my guess is we'll end up breaking a precinct in order to make this possible.
Yeah, you need to go into the census tracts, I'm afraid, but
Well, so there's one precinct, and then we'll do the blocks, and presumably you want this little area here as well.
does it have any people in it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Pretty sure. Well, yeah, let's just so I'm not misrepresenting anything, let's just make sure. So yeah, that's 112 people right there.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
people
Well,
there.
that,
Yeah,
go ahead. It'll throw off a little bit what's happening in.
Yeah, it won't be.
It should still be fine.
Yeah. And see how long this takes now, because of I've been talking to the people who make this software. That I think what's happened is that I've done that this map is so complicated computationally that now it takes a long time to even select the district. So are we clear that that's what I'm moving?
Let's try it. Yeah. And
So
how many people are in there? What's the number?
2,718.
Oh, okay. So that's significantly higher than the 2,400 that I had.
Okay.
So,
Let's do it.
2718. Okay.
And to be clear, well, so it changes the African American percentage in 23 up to 52.2. Non-Hispanic, it decreases this down to 61, but then we're going to make up for it. And I don't know, one thing to think about as you do this is whether you want to go treat the park differently, whether that would have, because you could, in theory, do that as well. It might, yeah.
Let me suggest no, since I hope that none of the people who live in the park are actually registered there.
No. It's not so much that as it is. Look, people are going to look at this. They're going to say, "What is this belly button doing here?" Right?
Oh,
and so you could try to. There are a lot of tricks to the trade that are kind of underneath the hood here. All right, so
if you go all the way down to Hamilton Avenue, that's going to be a pretty good first approximation, because it went most of the way down to Hamilton with the 2,400.
Just my 2 cents. I wouldn't split the parks, because when we have these anomalies, it's clear that we're doing them to bring communities together. So anytime they're explainable like this, I don't think we should try to obscure them or cover them.
right.
Just my 2 cents.
The first thing I do when I do this is I put the precinct together. So that puts that precinct together. And so we're still, the deviation in 22 is still under 3%. So we're going to try to push it much higher, as you said, going to Hamilton Avenue.
I think I just figured out what I'm eating for dinner tonight. Hazelwood Inn. This is literally
so that almost does it. Well, you'll see one of the problems now is we actually put a little too much in there. So District 23 needs a little more. Now, this is where I want to, it still might be a good place to draw the line. It looks like 23 is now pushed down in terms of the Black population, but let's see. So the question is, do we not go as far here, or do we make up for it maybe somewhere else in the park here, or near the park? And so let's make that change. And then I'm going to go and if you saw right now, we've got to find just a few more people for District 23. It does appear like this does decrease the Black population a tiny bit, but not significant. So let me just see if this can be done easily. For example, like right here, right?
See how many people live there. It's looks like a lot of people might live there.
It's the Baltimore Hebrew congregation, for what it's worth. Oh, whoa. See, this is what happens. That's just a census block right there. It's only 17 people.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably not worth it to create a shape like that. Again, unless you wanted to put the whole park in. So let's look here. There's no population in the areas I'm choosing right now. So that puts us just under 2% if you want to do that. Again, I don't know if this is breaking up another community here. You all would have to.
It seems to me that going back and undoing a little bit of the set amount is more likely to not disrupt things than having to tell people that the line doesn't follow the major roads closer to the center of the city. It's really an advantage to keep that east-west passage in particular.
So
I don't know the name.
I appreciate that. The problem is now we've got a nice road here as well, and these census blocks.
Well, yeah, but if you go over to the far right where it's close to that different neighborhood on the left, and really, I mean, what is it? 100 people we're talking about, or just to take over a little bit to east.
That'll do it. That'll do it if you want to do that. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if the people who own the Hamilton Food Mart and Baltimore Happier Kids, although I think they're yeah.
Is the 2.01, does that mean that we need to take one more little block somewhere there? Or?
No, it means we took too much.
Oh,
because it's 22, right?
So, I see. Okay. Well,
that's 500
then up by White Avenue.
So this is the problem. Yeah.
That does it.
That's too much.
No, but just if you took the thing without that little Hazelwood circle, then your numbers are okay. Oh no, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah,
okay.
You're right. That'll do it.
Yeah, that does it. Okay.
You really okay? You sure? Because these people are going to be upset that they're in a.
Oh, I don't think they're going to be upset. Really.
Furious. We'll see. I can't. I've seen hearings where it's even worse. I mean, I'm just sort of looking at this again. These are the things it's good for you all to see what I'm thinking about in terms of what people raise as concerns. We could also do like just here probably.
Okay, why don't you try that? I will say this set of changes, so far as I can tell, really much improves keeping that neighborhood of Setmont together, and by moving the line down from where it had been.
But that's also an argument.
That's a good one.
To do the change, but we could also do the change in the southwest there because you're already crossing over.
No, seriously, this new one with the Hamilton Springs Apartments gets the numbers very good, and I would go with that.
All right, are Baltimore commissioners okay with that?
Well, let's see what William says.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right, done. Hamilton Springs Apartments now is in the District 23. No doubt we moved some candidates' residence by doing that. Those are the breaks. Okay. So we're good. And those are multi-member districts, so it doesn't have any implications for the Senate map. Are there any other changes that people want in Baltimore City? Oh, should we try to do this change here, Commissioner Thomas? See how to do this?
Yes, let's take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. So this, I'm really going to be watching the racial health percentages as we do this, because it may be affected. And so we just, I mean, these are all very compact. Like, I don't see any Shaw problems, and race isn't the predominant factor as we're going through this, but it is worth sort of keeping in mind. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way up into the park and use that as the barrier. And then I'm going to come down here. My guess is that that's a voting district too. Yeah. Whoops. I'll just make this change first, and then I'll clean that up. You see, this is the other thing you got to keep being aware of is the possibility that you're have contiguity problems. All right, now we're going 21. And so I'm going to start by bringing it down to Lafayette there. Just to see like that right now, we need to get a much more significant percentage of people. So like that's part of a problem here. I remember now why I didn't do that, which is that this census block goes all the way down.
I don't like the way it looks anyway.
Well, here, let's see if we can if we do it like this. We still got a ways to go, so it might work out. We can maybe go all the way down to what is that, 40?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're almost there, as you can see, looking at the numbers here, right? Negative 0.84, negative 2.37, and so we just need another % or so the population here. And so this is probably going to be too much. But let's just see. Yeah, so 24 now has gone too far. So you have to make some kind of decision about, so for example, let's say Edmondson is the barrier instead. So, hold on. And then I'm going to reverse this change in a second. Let me, now you see how I end up getting the lines that I do on these maps. So I'm looking right now, 24 still needs to pick up some population. So I'm going to go up, I think using what is that, Franklintown Road. Maybe that'll get us there. That's also another nice, yeah, but we got that problem. Let's see. So you see, I'm trying to get this down to just under 2%. It is, well, let's see here. Now we're almost perfect. All right, that will do it. 198, as you can see here. 51%. I think it drops the Black population a tiny bit. One thing but it did, this is not the best line here. Let's see if this can be fixed here. So we use Edmondson Avenue, okay, as the barrier for now. Okay. So let's just zoom out for a second, see what we've got. We still need to pick up under 100 people and put them into 24. So I'm going to suggest we do it right here. As I look at the sort of lines that go up just like there. And so we'll just add a few to try to deal with this strange shape here. That does it. So you can see 191. This district again, 24 the Black population goes down a little bit, but still majority, 51% non-Hispanic Black adjusted, 53.2% Black voting age population, roughly 35% non-Hispanic white voting population. These juts, I can't, this is the shape of the census block, so you can't deal with this, but these are zero population areas right there, I think. Let's zoom out so you can see what it looks like and whether you think this is better. What do you think?
Yeah, I like this a little better.
Let me see the racial makeups of 23, 22, 21.
So here's everything here.
All
This
right.
is the adjusted non-Hispanic Black, District 21, 64.9, District 22, 61.8, District 23, 51.8, District 24, 51.22. And like I said, you add about 2 to 3%. I can give you the actual voting age population, which I have over here somewhere. So 67.4, 64.28, 54.32, and 53.28. And then here's the white population in these, right? Going from 22.61, 26, right? That's what those are.
All right. Other questions, other reactions?
One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure we didn't lose any, like it's worth it actually for you all to see what I do is that when I do something like that, you do a contiguity check to make sure that you didn't leave any like errant census blocks stranded there, and we didn't. So it looks good.
So what do you think, William?
I like it. I'm fine with it because it keeps Edmondson together.
All right. Other reactions?
But you can see from this exercise, both of these, that one of the challenges, because it's so tight, that these are all underpopulated, and so you've got, like what we just did breaks up many precincts probably, and that's basically what we have to do here. It's not a big problem in the urban areas like this because that they will redraw the precincts with the with all the new redistricting, but that's, like I said, why it's very, very tight.
And let me ask Cheryl whether she has any questions. There's been some revisions to Baltimore County in light of what we did with the Dundalk, Essex area. Cheryl, you have any reservations or questions, concerns?
No, I don't. I think based on the population and what they requested, I think he did a great job.
Actually, it would be useful for you to, I mean, I don't know, like, so here's what is defined as Edgemere, right? And then this is all Dundalk. And so it is a little weird, right? That you have this part of Dundalk and then this part of Dundalk. But I can't, the only alternative is if this district goes all the way up here and then this district, you'll see, I mean, basically I did a version of this where 20A looks really compact and goes up like this, but then you can see what happens with 20B, which is that then it goes up and then over in a pretty thin line. Now,
So you're saying either way, Dundalk's being split.
Oh yeah, Dundalk's going to be, well,
right.
Yeah, Dundalk's going to be split. Yes, yeah, it has to be because Edgemere cannot sustain a district. If Edgemere is kept whole, then the leftover, population has to be made up in Dundalk. And so the question is which area. And so I did it down here. Now, again, this is United. You've got the highways that join. You can go from one part to the next. So I'm not as worried about the water issues. But if you told me like, no, the community of interest of Dundalk, the way they define themselves is the entire area adjoining the county city line here is basically north-south is the way they orient themselves. And that then to add Rosedale would make sense. Then, we could do that. The problem now you could see is that this also 20B also joins Essex a little bit, right? So we'd have to rotate quite a bit. Because what you would do is this would go up and then this would go down, right? So it would go up and over and down. Or this was a little bit of a struggle. So if you just sort of do the mental exercise, right? We've got 3 different delegate districts here. If you start rotating them, you could draw 20A in a compact way that goes like this and down. And then you do 20B goes up and then all the way over in this, like all the way over, right? And then this would be, you could go to the water here in what is 20C.
So then that would put Essex all together if you did that.
Yes, it would, but then it would mean that, you basically have Southern Dundalk united all the way in this kind of L-shaped district to Middle River. Now, I felt like, yeah, that would be strange, right? That's the problem, which is like, and that kind of consideration affects a lot of the districts in the plan. Like, for example, when I was showing Northern Baltimore County, like I was thinking about, if this district 18A, because it goes all the way from the northern border of Maryland all the way down here. It's like, well, I was thinking, well, why don't we swap, say, this population here with this population? Well, because then District 18B goes all the way from the easternmost part of the border with Harford County all the way almost, here. And then this would look like a kind of, I don't know, east-west district. And then, and so this, I thought, made a little more sense, but this guy, and if the public is listening, these are the kinds of rules of the road kind of changes that are useful. There aren't normative reasons that those particular boundaries were determined the way they are, but if there are community of interest considerations that the commission should consider in these, it would be useful to hear them. At the same time, there's just something, the districts have one person, one vote requires you to put 2 different communities together sometimes. And so that's just going to be the way it is. But there are lots of, different ways to make these changes.
Well, that's also part of the trade-off. And as I read most of the comments on yesterday, they were interested in making sure that the water and river communities somewhat stayed together.
Yeah.
And they just didn't see any a community of interest inside Baltimore City. That really was the
Right.
gist
That was
of it.
primary. Yeah, I was actually tallying. I have tallies of all the people I've read and who thought it should just be, it was like 40 some people that were just saying separate from the city. Then there were 50 some people who said you have to keep Dundalk, Essex, Edgemere, Fort Howard, Miller's Island, Sparrows Point, and Greater Dundalk together. And then there were about 26 people who said you have to have all those areas with Middle River and Rosedale. But with a number of people, some of those requests may have been difficult in order to draw it, appropriately. And so I feel like you did your best with 20 A, B, and C to keep, those areas in the same Senate district. Also trying to keep together in 43B, the remaining parts of Middle River and Bowling School. So I think I think you did a great job. This is a lot. It came together quickly, and you really kept together as much as you could what was discussed and requested yesterday.
Well, the challenge here is they seem like a childish thing for me to say, but if there wasn't so much water, this would be a lot easier. It's like the problem is if you look, and this is of course one of the things that affects our Caroline County issue, right? And the contiguity. It's like because of all the water here, you've got to draw these southeastern to northwestern districts, right? In all of these areas, right? Because because some of these areas are not like small bodies of water, right? It's not easy to get from one part to the other. And so I'm always looking at, that's why I eventually made this decision. I was like, well, there's enough highways down here that Southern Dundalk and Edgemere, you can justify. The same thing with this area in Northwestern Essex going in this way. But you can't cross here, right? You have to come up and around if you're going to go in that direction. Now, look, you can draw districts that are contiguous by water. It's not like that's a bar, but still.
Essex would probably want to be whole, but given that Dundalk has that southern part as well as Edgemere and everything else, it's
well. This is again as we call on the community to make the case here. If Essex is made whole here, then 20B has to go up in this direction, and that is that seems like a reasonable option if people like, but it will affect the compactness.
Professor, I just want to confirm, because I'm looking at in 20A where it says Dundalk, the smaller letters, that portion to the left, that's Baltimore City, right? So none of the Dundalk, Essex, all that area that's in Baltimore County is strictly in Baltimore County. Is that correct?
Right. This is the
county, the city
wall
line
of separation. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Where did you see? Was there a little something?
She's looking to the left of Southern Dundalk.
Down there to the left where it
and
says
it crosses to the city. Part of St. Helena, you go up is in the city.
You're saying that part's the city.
This here, you mean this area here?
That
this
part,
is the city. Yeah, this is the city line, which was one of the reasons that I think you all were originally thinking like, well, that's a natural place to make the intrusion, because it's not like you're going into another country here. It's sort of a continuous, transition. So,
well, we heard differently about that. That's for
sure. I know.
So,
well, there's a question as to how far you go. How far at what point does it become distinct? And so you just deal with as it is.
So just if you could go back a little bit, not that I want to be disruptive, but you were just saying, well, we could keep Dundalk together if we went up north.
No, it's Essex. Dundalk's going to be split.
Essex. No matter what, Dundalk has to be split, you're saying?
Yeah, it's too big.
Okay.
And because of Edgemere here, unless you were to do something kind of crazy, which is like to just do water contiguity going to Edgemere.
Nah.
Yeah. But
okay.
But I mean, there's I'll tell you the things that I worked on that would that I wish I could do. And we could talk about it. So this is an area, I would have liked to keep this line.
Community college. Yeah,
Yeah,
the high
we'll put
school
that
over.
down south, right?
Mhm.
But then this is heavily, that's a significant population there. And so then you go, this is going to go down. Basically, this population over here does not equal that population over here, right?
Yeah.
And so you'll end up going all the way down into Edgemere, so then you end up splitting Edgemere. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, and you can't do the reverse, right? Where you go like up this way and then this goes down because this is heavy population.
Okay. I see
Because
it.
it's
All
sad
right.
because CCBC is part, to me, it's like part of Old Dundalk because I'm thinking about the schools that are there when you talk about Logan and
Yeah, right.
three schools and they feed into the high school and the high school's next to CCBC, but that's in a different.
And if community members are listening, if they can figure out a better way to draw this boundary, I'm all ears. And like I said, one of the options is 20A going up and then 20B going down all the way. But
It's just
then
an odd shape, but
this here, yeah, that's what you mean?
I mean, if
That
you
shape?
did that and went up, you'd be going to Rosedale from Southern Dundalk all the
Right.
way up.
You
For
can go
Rosedale.
further probably because here's the part of the problem also, you got this area, unless we rotate it. And then, I mean, the earlier version of this, I think went all the way up to Middle River. It goes up here and then all the way over, basically getting what's left over from respecting these districts. And so in these communities.
I mean, Middle River already split, right?
Yeah, Middle River is split up. I'll show you.
Like 3 different ways, right?
Yeah, let me just show you what's happening there.
I noticed that.
I actually had that question on that little sliver from 43B that seems to go into 20C.
So now do you see why that is? Oh, are you looking?
Yeah, now I see why that is. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the African-American population there. And so we talked about how 43B is I believe it was 43B, or maybe it was 43A is the kind of opportunity district.
Well, another aspect of that is, isn't some of that Dundalk area on the water, the marine terminal, where there's really not much population that's split between Baltimore City and Baltimore County?
to the left of the border. Yes, to the west. of the
Yeah.
border. It is.
So,
This right here, you mean?
yes, yeah, that whole point that split is part of the marine terminal. So
Yeah.
it's not really it's not like the Dundalk community where people are living
Yeah,
as much.
Mhm.
No, to be
People.
sure. Yeah, and I don't mean to, when I was talking about, they were saying before, this is a county line, right? And so, and the previous districts were joining Dundalk all the way with, the center of Baltimore City. And so that's why I think, you all justifiably said, let's move the entry point into northwestern Baltimore. And so we did.
Professor, I think you did a very good job with the challenges that you're faced with the numbers and making sure that we're sticking to the appropriate things that we have to do with the Voting Rights Act. And I think we have responded to the community to the best of our ability to make that separation between the city and the county. I think that was the major thing. And what we heard from the emails is that people would like areas to be joined, but the reality is if the numbers don't make that happen, you can't do that. And I think that's probably the part that's a challenge for the public to understand.
And
Yeah.
what Kate, we can do once we put the maps online, they'll have until Monday to make any additional or final suggestions for alterations, which we'll consider.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
so-
at this point, I think they've done the best they can.
Right.
And we, just so we're clear, we got, so Kristen is listening, since we now made some changes, I need to redo all of those tables and the images, just so we're always clear. Every time you make the slightest change, it's important to redo all the images. And one thing Well, look, I mean, if you're comfortable, you can actually vote on this map now, and you know, subject to maybe reconsideration on next week. There is one other thing. Judge Williams mentioned Carroll County before, and I wasn't sure whether he was echoing something he heard in the submissions, but there was one person who had talked about adding, instead of doing this line down here, doing a precinct, adding a precinct so that this would 5B would go all the way up, and 5C and 5A would pinch at the bottom coming in. So basically think about this oval moving up to the border. I don't know whether that, we hadn't talked about that, but there was something in the comments on that. And look, if we're making changes and you all wanted to make that change, we could do that now as well.
Yeah.
I did see that, and it just never came up in the earlier meetings, and it was from State Senator Justin Reedy. And I will say that happens to be two areas of Carroll County that I just don't know personally. I know quite a few of the other towns, but I don't know about those areas. There's not all that much population. He offered some reasons, such as people are in the same school district, and a couple of other things that seem plausible, but I don't have direct experience myself to evaluate.
Well, Walter, if you don't, I know I don't. Yeah.
And it's fine with me to do it, but that's why I didn't kind of bring it up on my own, because you know, it does seem like a reasonable thing. And I think his idea is that there's a particular little neighborhood called Silver Run up there, and he said that it's where the lines split in, you know, north of Westminster, where 5A, 5B, and 5C come together is in that little neighborhood. And he said that making the change would de-split that right around where it says Union Mills there.
So the idea would be to have this district go all the way up, and then
it would go up more or less straight north of the Pennsylvania border, and then it would lose territory down at the southern end, where, as you say, 5A and 5C would pinch together.
I wouldn't want to touch 14A because
no, it wouldn't touch 14A. I did spend a little time with the things, and you can make 5A and 5C pinch pretty easily at the bottom to compensate for the what's going on up north.
But Walter, when you do that, how far up does it go? Does it go as far up as Carroll Community College?
Oh, no. Well, I don't think so. But
no, yeah, it will pinch down.
Oh, it will, okay.
Yeah, no, well, because that would be the idea. Otherwise, this is going to look like a very strange district, right? So, well, I'll see. I mean, do you want to try it? And
yeah, let's try it
now. Why don't you show us?
All right, so what I'll do is 5B is going to take that whole he said, just take the precinct in his letter. One thing I should say, and I want to prepare you all emotionally for this, which is that I suspect that there are going to be criticisms of this, of what we did in Baltimore city and county, that we do not know yet, right? And so, all right. So this you'll see that this changes. You know, this is 4,000 people that we're putting, almost 5,000 people, and so we would put that in there. And then now we've got to deal with 5A and 5C, and we got to make sure to keep the Senate district in mind. And so you can see this had a nice road that I was going down, and now we're going to have to break that.
Yeah, break it up.
And so, you know, the first thing I do is I do the precincts, and let's see if we can get at some of this just with precincts. So that might do it there. Let's see. Not gorgeous, but and then we're going to take 5C.
No.
No, I know. I gotcha. Okay, so then 5C, all right, now 5B is a little under. You see, we've got a problem here because of the shape. And so I'm going to do that for now, and then we're going to make up for it. Because so Carroll Community College is going to be okay, just about. And now what we've got to do is we've got to take some from 5C elsewhere. And I do remember dealing with this with these. So the question is, do you take it from up here? I'm going to suggest we just take like this line right here. Actually, I realized we've got to do a lot more because this is underneath by 5%. So you know, let me reconsider this. I think in order to get a large enough population, we're probably going to have to take from both sides. So what I'm going to look at here. So 5A is under by 2.69, 5B is under by 5 points, and 5C is over by 3. So we've got to move 5B into 5C. Yeah, this is not going to be as easy. But I'll take all this area up here. Just looking at 5C now, but we've got to really get a lot more population. Okay, that's good for those districts. And then let's see about 5A. 5A needs population, I believe. We got to get, well, actually we could just do it at that level because this is, I'm just looking at the Senate district. We should be okay, right? Because 74 and 269.
Up north near the Pennsylvania line, though, the precinct took a lot of 5A that I don't think it. Well, I mean, I just wonder whether.
I mean, what he said was take the precinct.
Well, okay.
So yeah, no, I know, but that it's very difficult to come up with some other theory here about what's the right way to do it. And I do like the idea of from an election administration perspective. So let's just look at the shape. Let's zoom out and just look at the shape. It's basically taking Westminster and Carroll Community College and then going all the way up to the northern border here.
Yeah, looks okay to me.
Okay.
So I guess if we're into tweaking single member districts, is there a way to look at the Eastern Shore and the Caroline County split? Because I think being a county, they're a little bit higher up on the pecking order, and maybe if we can do anything to alleviate that.
So
tonight.
So here's what.
I'd like to hear from others as well. Maybe Kim as well, if she's still on.
Kim was warning us that she was having connectivity problems and might have to try to reconnect. I don't know if she's made it back on.
So the only way I see to solve this problem, right, is you've got to solve the problem of 46C coming this far in, right? And so you've got to find because we're dealing with a corner of the state, we got no other place south that we can go. We've got to just take this population, which is I think 4 to 8, or it's 8,000 people, I think. And then we got to find another place to pick it up. And the only place without splitting Caroline is to go up into this area, right? Because unless you were going to do something a little wacky and like go 46A goes up, 46C goes over, 45B comes down, right?
Well,
And, you know, it just depends on, you know, trading. You will add another county that will be split. It's just a question as to whether one county split 3 ways is better than 2 counties split 2 ways. But this would be, I mean, just to give you a sense of, I mean, we're talking about this entire area would need to be joined in, and you can see the water is the big problem here. Yeah.
Nate, you know, as you know, I circulated a map this afternoon that I think gets the right population and does. Some may call it wacky. What was the best case that I could find for trying to get Caroline out of its difficulties? I'm not going to say that it's an improvement, but maybe if Kristen could put it on the screen so I could explain. It involves grafting the bridge part of Queen Anne's with the water part of Talbot, and introducing that split means that the Talbot district could go out and take 45B, thus reducing the number of splits in Caroline to 1 instead of 2. Kristen, are you around?
I am, but my only issue is that I am not logged into my email where that map is. So I need to go.
I can try and do it.
Take me a minute.
I've got that. Let me make sure I can find it.
And aside from, I mean, it splits Queen Anne's County in a different place. It introduces a split for Talbot, which is not a problem in principle, but the split, unfortunately, goes right up to around the boundary of Easton. And so it's, as far as I can see it, I mean, we haven't seen the map yet, but it means that the northern and western and southern outskirts of Easton would all be in that aquatic district with the watery parts of Queen Anne's.
All right, I'm having trouble accessing it also.
Walter, I'm looking at your email now. Just to be clear, you're not splitting St. Michael's and Easton though, right?
Well, but it's
sure,
right. So St. Michael's would be in a different district from Easton. And
because do you remember Kim talking about that she thought Easton and St. Michael's should be together?
Right, and that at that time we were discussing a somewhat different idea, which I think was pushing Dorchester's district up there in order to remove the Dorchester-Wacomico district. I agree, and I think that the separating Easton from St. Michael's would probably get a lot of people annoyed.
I wouldn't go down that path to tell you.
Okay, as I say, I thought my mission was to make the best case for, yeah, there you have it. The line between the blue and the purple scrapes right up against the town or city of Easton. And I think, you know, aside from the problems mentioned already, I would say that a lot of people in Talbot County and also Queen Anne's County are going to say, why did this come out of the hat at the last minute? You know, they're going to find problems, but they're also especially going to feel they weren't warned enough. So, you know, those are all reasons, even though I'm the one putting this out here, why I would understand completely if it did not arouse any enthusiasm.
So something's wrong with this map, because you'll see that there's a loss of continuity.
Nate, I think I understand what happened, which is that the green arm of the lobster here retreated, and that's what leaves the contiguity. This is from an older map that I was trying to read.
Right.
And
I can show you what, because I was trying to do this as well. If you want to see. I mean, and we could just do the exercise very quickly if you want to see what this looks like.
Sure.
Does Kristen? Can I'll share my screen.
Yep.
Okay. Here's where I am in that solution. You take the area of 46C that was over here, and you put 46A in. Then you take 46C, and then you start going up into into Talbot County. And
Right.
so one thing you learn quickly, these water areas are the problem, as you're going to see in a second, right? So we go like this, we go like this, boom. And then we just start kind of shaving back here, getting these areas so you maintain contiguity. Okay, that's too much population right now. You can just see the, you look at the deviations here. So this is now 46C is overpopulated by almost 5%. District 46A is underpopulated by over 6%. And so then we've got to sort of shave back. And then the problem is the water. And so as you so right now, this is just an example of the population. If you were to do, well, I gotta deal with that over there, but these are high population areas. So notice again, we're overpopulated by 4.5% in 46C. And you have, unless you go into Easton, or if you go all the way up and then create this kind of strange area.
There's, it's wacky either way. My suggestion, put those areas like St. Michael's up with Queen Anne's. The problem with this one, even though you don't have to approach quite as close to Easton, is that this is being linked with Wicomico County. I mean, that's a pretty wild. I mean, it's already enough of a stretch to put it with Queen Anne's County, which is a different county, but it's at least it's geographically close by. But again, if people from Caroline County are watching this, these are the difficulties that you run into in trying to get a different answer than the one that we have been stuck on for all of these weeks. We really have tried. I think many of us have tried from many different directions to get Caroline a better deal and just have not been succeeding.
Nate, where is the split in Queen Anne's County? Because Queen Anne County population is over 51,000. So it has to share population with somebody.
That's the thing, that it's this 45B overarching district that gets all of Kent, part of Queen Anne's, and then goes down into Caroline.
Yeah. And if instead you put it down around Graysonville and Queenstown, then that would free up, then it could rotate around and 45B could shed its Caroline portion. But you need
but it doesn't, but you still have the three districts intruding.
Well, no, then you would have to rotate the Talbot district into Caroline to take what's being moved out from 45B. But again, that's the other attempted solution, which is in the map that I circulated.
I don't feel comfortable making any significant changes without having Kim here. And she's from Dorchester County, and she should have a say in all this.
I sent her the phone number to call in and told her I could just promote her to a panelist if she wanted to call in. I just haven't heard back from her yet.
Well, I'll drop it. I mean, Caroline County is just in a bad place in Maryland. They just literally are. They're squished up against Delaware, and you're coming down from the bottom and down from the top. And unfortunately, with the population of only 33,000, they're ending up being the bill payer to everybody else who also has a low population. That's why I was asking about Queen Anne's, because they are one of the more populous counties over there. And I was wondering where it went, but it obviously went into Kent, which is, only 19,000. So it's a tough math problem.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're going to go back to what we originally had discussed then and leave it as
I think
is.
we have to,
Yeah, I do too.
leave it there.
Yeah.
And then Walter, I don't know if you're gonna have any contact with Kim before Monday, but if she has any thoughts on this.
Kim's view is very important on this. I think the default that we're all at is that, we haven't seen a strong reason to change from the provisional maps that we've been using. I don't think that Kim has, is going to weigh in saying that we need to change it, because she, I think, very accurately gave us a critique of one of the, attempts to fix it. And I suspect that her view is going to be the same about the other one. So I think, in a way, bringing this up was an attempt to provide more explanation for what I know is a discontented group of people in Caroline, rather than because I actually thought that, at this late date, we could go with anything different.
Yeah, and Mary's correct. I mean, we've made every effort to try to make it work, but it's just not a doable thing.
Yeah, also 46B is another constraining factor as well.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with everything that's been said, and this is one example of a district that would satisfy it. But there is another option, which is that you rotate 46A around so that it goes from Caroline into Dorchester County, right? But part of the challenge here is to try to predict how upset people in Talbot are going to be, how upset people are going to be, because once you make these changes, especially at the last minute here, we know what the devil we know, right? We just don't know the devil that we don't. But you could, in theory, and I'd have to see if the numbers work, but you could have the 46C district going up in the west side here. I don't know whether Easton is such a large population center that maybe it's not possible. But then if you look at the way this is drawn, right, 46A could go around into these areas.
Yeah, and doesn't Dorchester wind up getting split into three pieces at that point?
Yep, it does. But the thing about Dorchester, Dorchester is, because of the voting rights district, it is, it's got some strange shapes in there, right? And so in some ways you could draw a more compact district that goes along the water here. But as you said, you're then basically taking Easton and Western Talbot County and joining it all the way up to the border of, what's that, Salisbury?
Wacomico,
right.
Wacomico.
Well, Wacomico County, but Salisbury, the city, right? And so,
and not just in a Senate district, but even in a delegate district, St. Michael's would be competing against the suburbs of Salisbury, which, they would be right to complain, I think.
Yeah.
I think because we haven't heard anything, we've heard about Caroline County, but I think if we made the split that we were talking about initially between East and Talbot, first of all, we would be going against what the recommendation from one of the commissioners who lives in that area is, but also, I don't know what we're going to gain. I really don't, because I think the people in the Talbot Easton area will be rattled. And rightly so if we make that change, especially now.
So should we close the door? Is there a consensus to close the door and not pursue this then any further?
I think so. Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I give up. Yeah, no way.
Right. I think that settles it. Yeah. So,
and I did not make, just so you go, that was a totally separate mat called the Caroline County Experiment. I was not actually using the.
That was a science fiction movie.
Yeah. Well, so this is our map right now.
All right. Are there any other areas you need to discuss this evening?
Well, I guess we just made that Carroll County change, so that was significant. One thing I definitely want to make sure I didn't screw up the Senate district there. All
three are in the same Senate district, so it should.
But did I? Yeah. Okay. So so then it should, because we didn't move it's all within the county. So 5, just so we're clear, 5A, B, and C. yeah, we've talked about this before. This will average out to under 2%, under negative 2%. And then 14A has its sort of beautiful southeastern Eldersburg boundary there.
All right. Sounds like we may have a consensus on the delegates maps. Anyone disagree? All right. So what's the next step?
Well, two things. First, I will sometime in the next 15 to 20 hours, I'll get you I'll do the file here on this. And so the delegate map will then be made public. I will also tomorrow, certainly tomorrow, but maybe by Saturday, get you the Senate map. I just, there's a lot of opportunities for errors, especially at this stage in the process. And so I want to be really careful about combining the districts, making sure that I'm combining the right districts together and everything. I want you to authorize me, if I see sort of problems, to address them on the fly, like if I see a deviation problem, and I'll explain it on at our next meeting. If I do see any problem, I'll email you as well. But the idea would be to then release both the delegate map and the Senate map in the next 48 hours so that you can get any final comments on it before Wednesday.
Actually, it's before Monday at noon for the public to make
for the
comments.
comments, right? But so we have a meeting next Wednesday though, right? Or is it
We have a meeting, but if the public wants to say anything, it's noon Monday.
We certainly could make it, 4 p.m., but it's not really gonna make a difference.
If we're not getting the Senate maps until Saturday, I would push that deadline back a little bit for the public to really comment. Because they're
Yeah.
not
We could do it
necessarily-
I mean,
4
the
o'clock.
thing is, you can see what the Senate districts are based off of the delegate districts, but I agree with that because just in case I discover something. But look, I'll try to get it to you tomorrow. I just
You know what? We absolutely, there's no reason why we can't make it noon on Tuesday. Because what we'll be doing is we'll be getting that written testimony in through the email, and we'll just be putting it together for you guys like we have in the last couple of days. So we certainly can make it that. That just gives you guys the time that you need to consider anything before Wednesday's meeting, at which you would kind of give the final vote. I think that tonight, well, I guess you can't really do it tonight, but what you could do is kind of approve what the professor is putting together as your kind of final proposed maps, because we don't really have that. This is very different from what we have posted right now as the final proposed map. So what I do need you guys to do is say that when Professor Persily puts these maps together and sends them to us on Saturday, we either need to vote now that those are the maps that we're going to put under the final proposed maps, or we can kind of do an email vote when he sends them to say, yes, I'm signing off on these based on what we've discussed on Thursday night.
What's your pleasure?
Well, I think the vote has to be in public. I don't think you can do an email vote, can you? I mean, in terms of open meeting laws?
Good point. I mean, I think that in this particular case, if you, because we've had a meeting and you vote on it, as long as those maps align with what we're discussing tonight, and there's no significant change as the professor kind of fixes these lines, as he said, there might be some slight modifications, then I think you guys could vote tonight. If there's an issue, then he can let us know via email and we can address it that way. But I think that the best course of action would be for you all to vote tonight to make this map, as per the changes you've approved tonight, your final proposed draft map. Again, you're still going to have to do final votes on everything on Wednesday. There still could be tweaks, but if you make that vote tonight for this to be the final draft proposed, the final proposed draft map, then we can put it up on the website in that section. And people then will have maps for the legislative and the Senate and congressional to say, okay, these are the maps that they're moving forward to potentially putting through on Wednesday.
So
We
we need
have
a motion to approve these, right? We need a motion to approve
Can I
these
ask
maps.
one question before the motion? Walter, that significant change we made in Carroll County, was it based on just one comment via email, or was it also in testimony from many people, or?
It was not in testimony. This is based on one letter request, yes. And
was this a delegate
it
that's
was
already
state
in
senator, yeah.
the
State senator.
we don't know where he lives because we
Well,
can't know.
as a senator, he represents all 3 districts. So yeah, he is guaranteed to live in the same Senate district because this doesn't change Senate lines. Now, he could have other reasons, and those could be something that, could be good reasons or bad reasons, but it doesn't affect his residence because as far as I know, I mean, I don't know where he lives, but changing these lines will not change where a state senator can run because they're all within the same state Senate district.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's see.
Can I make a motion to approve these proposed draft maps and allowing Professor Persily to make minor modifications based on the need to do so regarding the numbers or the deviations with a final vote to come from the commissioners next Wednesday.
So the motion is to approve the suggestions for the night that we talked about and incorporate them into a final proposed map.
So they can be
Conditional on
posted,
it.
yes.
Conditional on any alterations or revisions that he feels may be warranted.
Exactly.
All right. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
All right. Is there any further discussion? You ready for the question? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so the motion is carried. Now, what about the congressional maps? At this point, I really would like the full commissioners. Kim's not here, but we pretty much decided that the congressional maps is what we want. Do you all want to vote on that now, or you want to vote on that Wednesday, the congressional maps? Any thoughts?
I think we could do it now. We haven't really made any changes based on the last time that we had a full discussion on the congressional.
Hoping to get more feedback from city residents on the congressional map personally. So
you want to hold off on that then and vote
I
on
would.
Wednesday?
I would, but if the commission sees otherwise, then it is what it is. But I would like to hold on.
We could
And
wait.
also, I think it's important for Kim to have all 9 available for that significant
Yeah.
vote if possible.
Absolutely. I like that. So
All right,
let's go ahead and hold off till Wednesday on the congressional maps.
Okay.
See if we get any additional feedback. Let's do that. All right. Any further business this evening? All right. Thank you all for joining us. So we'll go ahead and take a motion to adjourn.
So move
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Seconded. All right. All in favor, just raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Have a
And
good evening. Good weekend.
Thanks so much, Professor Persily, too. Did a
Yes,
great
thank
job.
you.
Yes, and I hope
That's
you
right.
get
Safe
some
travels,
sleep.
boss.
Yeah,
Go home and get
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Go home and get some sleep.
I'll try my
Right.
best.
Yes. Go to the
All
plane
right.
and get some sleep.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
all right.
Good
Good
night.
Bye,
night.
guys.
Bye. Good
Bye-bye.
night. We good, Kristen?
Kristen, you're muted.
I'm signing off now. I
Okay,
tried
cool.
to go back in because I lost my end button.
Oh, okay, gotcha. No worries.